Welcome to In It to Win It. This is Steve Barton, and thank you for tuning in. We are here with Peter Akerley of Erdene Resource Development. Peter, thank you for coming on the show.
Nice to meet you.
Yes. Go ahead and give us your elevator pitch and tell us about your story.
Sure. I'm a geologist that went to Mongolia 27 years ago and recognized the potential for a great belt of rocks that have been underexplored. So here we are, fast forward to today, building our first gold mine. We'll be producing gold by the end of 2025. We have a fully funded project, and we have one of the greatest pipelines of high-grade gold opportunities globally.
Okay. Give us your market cap, cash, and debt.
Our market cap today is about 200 million Canadian. We have $7 million in cash in our corporate account, no debt. The subsidiary is funded through third parties, but no debt in the corporate entity.
Okay, so 200 and then market cap and 7 cash?
Yep.
Okay. All right. So what tell us about your project. So you got Bayan
Bayan Khundii.
Okay. Yeah, tell us about your project.
I'll do that. So we started exploring in the Central Asian orogenic belt approximately 15 years ago, and we discovered the Untapped project first. 500,000 ounces of 2-gram gold, open pittable. But then we found Bayan Khundii, and that was about 7 years ago. Bayan Khundii is an exceptionally high-grade deposit, which we're continuing to explore. Bayan Khundii has 500,000 ounces of gold at 4 gram per ton open pit. We're about 70% complete on construction. It will produce approximately 85,000 ounces a year. We have a 6-year mine life currently in reserve, where we have a tremendous pipeline of opportunities in resource and new discoveries adjacent to that mine. I'd also mention that mine was designed at $1,800 gold. So today at $2,700 gold, we have plenty of room for expansion. We're partnered with Mongolia's largest mining company, private mining company, MMC, listed on the Hong Kong Stock Exchange. So they're responsible for the build and the operations, where we can get back to what we're good at, which is exploration.
Okay, you said 4 grams per ton open pit?
Exactly. Yeah.
Okay. All right. And then Zuun Mod?
So Zuun Mod is a very large molybdenum-copper porphyry deposit. We purchased this actually from Mohammed Al Fayed back in 2005, and it's kind of sat in the inventory while we focused on the gold projects. But what we've seen happen with molybdenum is prices quadrupled over the last decade. It's sitting at about $20 a pound. It's been deemed a critical mineral by many world governments, including those in Asia, China, Japan, Korea. And the infrastructure has grown to support large porphyry projects in the southern Gobi. So all of a sudden, we've got this massive moly copper project that's ready to start moving towards development as well. So the two gold projects in Zuun Mod make up what we see as a multi-mine, multi-commodity district, all within 35 kilometers of one another and 200 kilometers north of the Chinese border, which was remote, but now you have roads being built, rail being built. We're bringing power line from China to our site. So things are changing very rapidly to come and meet this new mineral district that was at the point where we started quite remote. Today, it's really not.
Okay, so at least as far as catalysts, what I could see is you have a mine coming online here in 6 months or so, right?
Exactly, yeah.
Okay, and what are the reserves and resources there?
So there's 500,000 ounces of reserve at 4 grams per ton. There's another 1.5 million ounces of resource at about 2 grams gold equivalent between the two projects.
Okay.
And we really have not been aggressive on our exploration. We made a decision in 2019, let's get the cash flow as opposed to continuing to try to milk the equity markets, which were unfavorable in terms of valuation. But now as we get to that cash flow, we can really turn on the taps and start to explore this new district.
Okay. All right. What tell us about the team that you built and what experience you guys have that relates to this project in Mongolia.
Sure. Yeah, so I'm a geologist. I've been in the business since 1988, so 37 years. Spent much of the 37 years exploring internationally, arrived in Mongolia in 1997, and built around me a team of experienced geologists, Mongolians and Canadians and Americans. We have some of the foremost geologists in Mongolia who have worked with Rio Tinto, with Ivanhoe, and helped build these discoveries for us. I put together a team of top GIS sort of AI type experts on the Canadian side as well. We're good at exploration. We find things, and we brought on MMC to bring that other element of how do we build this? How do we operate it? They operate 2 large steelmaking coal facilities. They have 2,000 miners. They have affiliated companies that build roads, build power lines, build power plants. So they're the ones that can come in and do this all for us, which we're witnessing in front of us today. So our exploration team and their operating construction team have come together to pull this off.
Okay. And how is the geology similar to what you guys have done before?
Well, what we're in is one of the great arc-related porphyry epithermal belts of the world. So when you think about Bingham Canyon or El Teniente or Grasberg, these are all part of those arc-related belts. One runs through southern Mongolia. I've explored many of them globally. But the unique thing about this is this one hosts the largest gold deposit on the planet. It hosts what's now going to be the fourth largest copper mine in Ivanhoe or Rio Tinto's Oyu Tolgoi. But the part that we're focused on had never seen modern exploration. And that's really what set it apart. We walked out there in 2015 and we're picking up 4,000 gram samples at surface. No geologist, no modern exploration has ever taken place in this district. And that's what really excites me. Get this to cash flow and let us really unleash the exploration in this new district. It's quite exciting.
Okay. All right. Who owns your company? What do you own? And any vested partners?
Yeah, so our largest shareholder is Eric Sprott. Eric sits at about 18, verging 19%. The European Bank for Reconstruction and Development, which is a collection of European countries, a development bank in Europe, owns about 8%. We as management directors own about 7%. I'm sitting around 2% personally. We have a host of U.S. institutions, European and Asian institutions. And we're unique also because we have a very large cornerstone group of investors in Eastern Canada that have been loyal to our company for a long time, control about 25% of the company. So very tightly held. I had a trip to Mongolia in October. We had 9 people there and they represented 60% of the shareholder base, to give you an idea how tightly held this is.
Okay. So what's that leave for retail? About 40%?
Yeah, less probably. Well, if you take out that retail in Eastern Canada, which is ultra high net worth people, probably 20, 25% is floating out there.
Okay. So pretty thinly traded.
Yeah.
Okay. Scalability. You've got this new project coming online here. Well, not new to you, but you've got this project coming online in about 6 months or so. We got 2 others in the works. How big could the size of the prize?
So again, we elected to move aggressively. As soon as we had that 500,000 ounces, 4 grams at surface, it's like, this is a no brainer. Let's move this to production. But it's open in all directions. We see this as effectively going from a 6-year mine life to a 15 or 20-year mine life based on the exploration potential around it. But when you bring on that second deposit at Altan Nar, you can start to envision this going from 85,000 ounces to 150 to 200,000 ounces in combination. And let's see how successful we are with exploration. Big system. Bayan Khundii stretched over 10 kilometers. We drilled down to 450 meters. We're still in gold. So there's surprises to come in terms of upside. But I'm thinking 200,000 ounces by the time we get to the end of this decade. And then Zuun Mod comes on stream, which could be dwarfing in terms of scale the gold projects in terms of annual revenues.
Okay. And what is the principal unanswered question? What is the giant question mark? What is the biggest question you guys have that you need to answer?
You know what? I think from an investor perspective, it's always get the first goal, because so many companies, it takes longer, it takes more money, but we're now 70% complete. We have vision on that. So that's probably the biggest turning point, is people to get comfortable and see that re-rating that these guys are now producing what could be $120 million a year in cash flow. 50% to our credit because it's a 50% partnership with our Mongolian company. But we tip into that, and I think we'll just move to another level in terms of recognition and valuation, which will allow us to start to unlock the other opportunities.
Okay. It's at least the way I'm looking at it is, if you go by the Fraser Institute, Mongolia is not at the top of the list. What do you see there? What have you learned working there?
It's interesting that it's kind of moved into the middle of the pack when you look at recent ratings, and many of the South American countries, for various reasons, have started to slide down. This past week, the French government announced a 1.6 billion build of a uranium mine in Mongolia. It's going to be the 6th largest uranium producer in the world. You've got Rio Tinto there spending $15 billion on building the 4th largest copper mine on the planet. So it's really kind of elevated from what was new frontier 15 years ago to destination for some of the world's largest companies to come build mines. The Chinese are in there as well, but yeah, you're going to continue to see this. And I think Mongolia is a great place to do business from an exploration geology perspective. And now it's starting to ratchet up its game in terms of regulatory and attracting foreign investors.
Okay. All right. What could go wrong?
Everything. No, I mean, quite seriously, we're going through a build at minus 20 degrees in the Gobi Desert. So there's still issues that could come up. I see them as not insurmountable, but there's still some delay factors that could come into play there. You get the first gold. Gold price is always a concern. How much might it fluctuate? I feel very strongly about gold as we move forward this year and next. Um, Exploration is always a question mark. How much bigger can this be? I've been a geologist working internationally for 37 years. I've never seen the prospectivity and the fertility we see in this district. And so I'm very optimistic about that as well. But it's still, you drill a hole, you don't know what's at the end of it until you get there. So in terms of risks, we started this company in 2002, so 22 years. This is the best table we've had set in those 22 years. We're in a really good position to create value.
Okay. So weather, you can't mine year round, right? No, when
Well,
it's
you can, much like Northern Canada, but it's just more, particularly in a construction scenario, there's more potential for delay when it's minus 20, minus 30. But no, mining, no issue.
Okay.
And we're a closed plant, right? We're not a heap leach operation, so that's not an issue either.
Okay. Okay. All right. So weather, barring that, gold prices can't control that. Um, exploration is inherently risky, but that's no different than any of these other companies here at the Metals Investment Forum. Metals Investment Forum. What else could go wrong?
Again, it comes back to the construction. Delays can happen for any number of reasons. I mean, there could be other impacts other than weather, but really nothing comes to mind is in front of us right now that could be an issue.
Okay.
Yeah.
All righty. Well, thank you. If viewers want to get a hold of you and follow your work and follow the mine, how can they do so?
Yeah, please visit us at www.erdene.com, and you can link through our info page there and you'll find me.
Awesome. I know. Well, thank you very much, Peter. And thank you for tuning in. Be sure to support the show and share this with anyone that you think needs to hear it. It's probably your buddy that can't stop talking about tech stocks. Have yourself a great rest of the day, and we will talk to you next time.